Pick up a can of tennis balls. Wilson, Penn, Dunlop, Slazenger. 4 famous names, slugging it out on the shelf. The picture of healthy competition. Now follow the money instead of the logos. The competition starts to dissolve. Because those 4 rivals are owned by a handful of giants you didn't vote for with your wallet. And every one of their premium balls depends on a single factory in the English countryside. A factory so obscure, so irreplaceable, that when its 200 workers walked out this January, professional tennis itself held its breath. This is the tennis ball monopoly nobody noticed. Start at the shelf. Wilson. The American classic, the US Open ball, every year since 1979. Except Wilson isn't exactly American anymore. In 2019, its parent company was swallowed whole in a 4.6 billion euro deal led by Anta, the Chinese sportswear giant, with Tencent along for the ride. Penn, the other American icon, belongs to Head, an Austrian company. Dunlop, sold to Japan's Sumitomo Rubber for $137 million. Slazenger, a British retail conglomerate. 4 rivals on the shelf. Underneath, a Chinese-led consortium, an Austrian group, a Japanese tire maker, and a UK retailer. The rivalry you're paying for is mostly branding. And here's the kicker. Penn alone sells roughly 65 million balls a year in America, about 2/3 of every branded ball sold in the country. One brand, 2/3. So where do all these all-American, quintessentially British balls actually come from? Not America, not Britain, not anymore. Penn ran the last tennis ball factory in the United States, Phoenix, Arizona. It closed in 2009. Production moved to China. Slazenger's English factory closed in the early 2000s. Production moved to the Philippines. Wilson makes its balls in Thailand. The Wimbledon ball is the punchline. Its ingredients cross 11 countries and more than 50,000 miles. American clay, Malaysian rubber, New Zealand wool, before a single can is opened on center court. But one stop on that 50,000-mile journey is different from all the others. Because one stop has no backup. Stroud, Gloucestershire, a wool town since the Middle Ages. The mills here have been running since 1759. And one of them, Lodgemore Mill, weaves something almost nobody else on earth can, championship tennis ball felt. That fuzzy yellow skin isn't decoration. It decides how the ball flies, how it grips the strings, how it survives a 100-mile-an-hour serve. Weaving it right is a craft measured in centuries. And so the majority of the world's leading brands, the balls of Wimbledon, the Australian Open, Roland Garros, all quietly buy their cloth from this one mill. Wilson versus Dunlop versus Slazenger is the show. The mill is the single point of failure behind all of them. Here's the economics that should make you blink. The mill turns over about £23 million a year. A rounding error next to the billion-dollar brands it supplies. The irreplaceable link captures almost none of the value. How do we know it's irreplaceable? January 2026. The mill's workers, offered a 2% raise, walked out, the first strike in the factory's history. The union's warning was blunt: no cloth, no balls, no tournaments. Quick pause. If hidden economics like this is your thing, subscribe. One story every week, and the next few go even deeper. Now, does any of this concentration actually matter? Ask the players. Because in 2023, professional tennis had a full-blown ball crisis. In one season, the women's tour alone played with 10 different brands and 19 distinct ball types. Week to week, city to city, the ball itself kept changing. Top pros compared one tournament's balls to hitting apples. Others blamed the constant switching for wrist and elbow injuries piling up across the tour. Why so chaotic? Because each tournament sold its ball contract to the highest sponsor. The brands compete for sponsorships, not for your arm. The tours finally stepped in and centralized ball selection in 2025. Notice what nobody proposed: making the balls somewhere new. There is no new entrant. The certification fees are trivial. What you can't buy is a century of felt making and 3 entrenched factories. And that's the real shape of the modern economy this little yellow ball reveals. Ask who competes, and you'll hear 4 famous names. Ask who owns them, and it's a handful of conglomerates. Ask where the irreplaceable piece is made, and it's one mill in one town with one workforce that everyone forgot to notice. There's no villain here, no lawsuit, no smoking gun. That's the point. Concentration doesn't need a conspiracy. It just needs nobody looking. 4 brands, 3 factories, 1 mill weaving since 1759, and an entire global sport balanced on top, assuming the supply of fuzzy yellow balls is somebody else's problem. The tennis ball monopoly, hiding in plain sight on every court in the world. Almost every industry has a Stroud. One tiny supplier everything secretly routes through. Tell me in the comments the hidden choke point you know about, and we might break it down next.